Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Sean's Horror Corner. As always, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you tuning in today, taking your time out to watch my videos. Thank you all so much to everyone who's been liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing. Extra thank you to you guys. You're the best. I really do appreciate you. The horror community is such an amazing place. So, that being said, let's get into today's episode. Today, we're going to be talking about a movie you probably heard me reference a few times. I've even talked about it on other channels a little bit. The very first horror movie that I watched all by myself as a kid that really started my love for horror, and in particular, my love for slashers. Today, we're going to be talking about 1981's My Bloody Valentine. Um, Such a classic movie, and I have some interesting things to say about this movie because uh, obviously, if you've heard me talk about, you already know I'm a fan of the film, but it's going to be interesting to talk about a few things in particular because I do have thoughts on this movie, but yet I don't know. It's one of those rare times where even shortcomings don't always affect things. So, yeah, a little bit of a spoiler alert there as to my opinion. But let's go ahead and jump right in and get started. So, My Bloody Valentine. Quick tagline for the film: there's more than one way to lose your heart. Brief synopsis: 20 years after a Valentine's Day tragedy claimed the lives of five minors, Harry Warden returns for a vengeful massacre among teen sweethearts gearing up for another party. Film was released February 11th of 1981, directed by George Michaela. I'm not 100% sure how you say that. Screenplay by John Beard, story by Stephen Miller. It was distributed by Paramount Pictures, a runtime of 90 minutes, $2.3 million budget, 5.7 at the box office. So made its money back, but still not a huge hit. Cast for the film, just to name a few names: Paul Kellman, Laurie Hallier, Neil Affleck, Cynthia Dale, Don Franks, and Peter Cowper. We'll stop there and talk for a moment about cinematography, score, story, cast, characters, that kind of thing before we actually get into the plot. So let me start with the cast. I feel like this is a good group. Here's right off the bat, we'll go ahead and get this out of the way. So when I rewatched this movie a couple of days ago to prepare to do this, recording, not everyone, but some, and it's just kind of through, off and on at times, the performances aren't necessarily great in this film. It's not the best. I don't mean to slight anybody, but I'm just saying there's times when I was rewatching this the other day because it's been a little bit since I'd seen it. I've seen this movie multiple times, but it had been a little bit since my last watch. So when I was watching it the other day, I kind of find myself chuckling a little bit because I'm like, these are not the best performances. They're really not, especially for such a film that I hold in such high regard. Just not the best. And again, it's not everybody. There's some people that I think do a pretty solid job, and even the ones that, and I feel like I've said this before in some other movies, it's not that the performances are bad throughout. It's just time. Certain lines not delivered great. Certain facial expressions at time maybe not the best. But I don't think this is the best cast. And it's not even an incredibly group of likable characters. There are some characters here that you can like. Our primary two guys, Axel and TJ, I don't really know that either one of them are that likable. I think you're supposed to like TJ. He has moments where he's cool, but he also has moments where he's just kind of annoying. Our primary girl in the film, I'm drawing a blank. I feel like her name is Linda, but I'll get to my notes in a minute and we'll remember that. She's fine overall. Some questionable decisions here and there, but she's fine. I like the character of, let me put my glasses on so I can see a couple of things because there's a couple of names I want to mention in particular here. Let me see exactly who it is I'm thinking about. One of my favorite characters in the film, probably my favorite character in the film, is, gosh, it's taking me a minute. I'm so sorry. I hate not being on top of things here. Hollis. Yeah, so sorry. The character of Hollis. I like him. I think he's a pretty cool guy. He's not our main character, but he is one of the more primary ones. But, again, the cast is okay. It's not great. Some of the performances are not great, or at least not great throughout the film. And the characters are, they're fair. There's some that you like, some that you don't, but, it's okay. Cinematography, I feel like this movie looks great. I really love some of the shots we get here in the mine. I think the special effects are really good for this movie. The score is not bad at times. At other times, it's not that noticeable, but it has its moments. I love the story. I absolutely love the story for this film. I like this idea and this concept. And so, a lot of times I make a big deal out of casting characters, and it is still important. But for some reason, I like this story so much. I like the kills in this movie so much. I like the special effects. There's so many things in that nature in that area that I like about the film or love about the film, that it makes up for some of the bad performances here and there. Because the first time I watched this movie, I've talked about this. I just mentioned it a while ago. This is the first horror movie that I ever sat down. I was probably, gosh, 11, 12 years old. And I had only watched parts of horror movies, bits and pieces here and there. But at that age, I was scared of absolutely everything. I wanted to watch this stuff. I wanted so bad to be able to watch Friday the 13th and Halloween and even this movie growing up. But I was scared of absolutely everything. I had seen my dad watch some of this stuff. I'd seen my aunt watch some of this stuff. I wanted to, but it seemed like every time I tried, something scared me. I had nightmares. I could not do it. And I had seen my parents watching this movie on like HBO or something one night. And I stopped and I saw just a clip, a part of it. And I was like, oh, I really want to try to watch this. And then something happened and I'm like, I don't think I can. So I just, went off to my room and did my thing as a kid. And then later that night, my parents had gone to bed. I came back in the living room. I wasn't sleepy. It was a weekend, so I could stay up. I turned the TV back on, and the movie's coming on again. I think we had HBO back then or something like that. So I'm like, I'm going to try this. I'm going to sit down in the chair, and I'm going to try to watch this movie and make it. It scared me, but I made it. I made it all the way through the movie, and I absolutely loved it. And I'm like, wow, I can do this. And from there, things just slowly started to change for me. I went back and saw some of the, like the first couple of Friday the 13th films, the first Halloween film, and my love for horror then just continued to grow from there. There's a huge nostalgia thing for me because of that, where this movie is concerned, that probably has a lot to do with my opinion of it. But even at that, I feel like that, again, the kills are pretty good. I love the special effects. I think so many things about this movie look good. When I watch it now, do I think it's scary? No. Do I see how it could be to some people? Yes. But I just think it's so fun. This is a fun slasher movie. This is why this movie is a perfect example, similar to kind of what I talked about on The Prowler in a previous episode recently. This movie is a great example as to why myself and so many other people find slashers fun, especially these early 80s slashers. The first few Friday the 13th movies, first few Halloween movies, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I mean, some of that early Black Christmas, some of that early stuff. This is a perfect example of that kind of film. Now, is it the classic that Black Christmas or Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Halloween are? No, it's not on that level. I completely understand that, but it's still so good. It's just so much fun. It's so enjoyable. It's a perfect representation of these early 80s slashers that me and so many other people love. And I think a lot of it has to do with, we get, again, great shots, great kills, good special effects, a good story to follow, and then some decent characters and things throughout. So that's my thoughts there. Trying not to overdo my thoughts there. Yeah, so that's the way I feel about that. As far as production notes, I don't believe there was a lot for this film, but I do have a couple of things that I'll mention here real quick. So 9 minutes of this film were cut by the MPA due to violence and gore. I would like to see those 9 minutes. I have not watched I don't think I've watched a unrated version, although now that I say that, I believe that's what it is on this 4K. Maybe I did watch it and just didn't realize it, or maybe it's been so long since I've seen the original cut that I didn't realize. But things were a lot different back then. Stuff happened to be cut all the time. We've seen that about so many of these classic 80s horror movies like this, where stuff just had to keep getting cut. And I wish they wouldn't have done that. But yeah, 9 minutes were cut just so that it could get the R rating and get into the theaters. The film was originally titled The Secret, but was changed by producers due to the popularity of holiday slashers like Black Christmas and Halloween. Filming in mines was incredibly difficult. The elevators were very small, and it would take literally hours to get all of the cast and crew down into the mine for them to be able to film. So, it was a very difficult time, difficult setting. When they picked out this mine, the people that owned the mine actually went in and cleaned it up because they knew that they were going to come in and shoot a movie, and so they wanted it to be clean and looking great. And then the crew looked at this and they're like, this is too clean. So they had to go back and do a lot of painting and make it look rougher than what it looked at the time. So yeah, that's really about it. The identity of the killer was kept a secret from the cast until the last day of shooting because they want everyone to just perform as a character who didn't know who was being killed or might be killed. So they want everybody to truly give a true performance. And so they did not reveal who the killer was until the final day of shooting. I always like things like that. But yeah, that's about it for the production notes that I have on this movie. So let's get into the plot, start walking through this one. Opening for this movie is so incredibly classic, in my opinion. And, other people may disagree. Other people may not think it's that special, but I absolutely love the opening to this film because I think it's perfect at setting the stage for what we're getting. And it's just so memorable to me. And no, it's not because a woman takes her top off, but it's just such an incredible opening scene and a great shot here as we get two miners kind of walking around on this mine. We quickly realize that one of them is a female as she begins to undress. And gets her top off and is there in her bra. She also starts to undress the other miner and even goes to take his mask off, and he shakes his head no, and I think he even says no, doesn't want his mask taken off, which is good because that way we get to keep identity a secret, right? But yeah, the miner then, the one with the guy with the mask that's still on, notices that this woman has a heart-shaped tattoo, and he puts his pickaxe in the wall. He then grabs her and pushes her against the pickaxe, stabbing her right there by the tattoo and killing her. And she gives this big scream. And that's the opening to the movie. I think it looks great. I think this is shot so well. I love, again, the whole 80s vibe and feel that we get here. I love the practical effects. There's, I guess, a little bit of tension there. It's not bad, but there's a little bit there. But I just think it's such a fun way to open this movie. I think it's such a great kill to start this movie off and let us know, with the setting of the mine, the costume of the miner. I think the miner looks so good. That's one thing that I love about this movie, that I wish this character got more recognition. And I know I've talked to a few other people who feel the same way. But so many times when we think about the 80s slasher villains, and we talk about Jason, we talk about Michael, we talk about Leatherface, we talk about Freddy, later on we start talking about Chucky and Candyman, and in the 90s we have Ghostface and Pinhead. All greats, all classics, love all of them. But I think the miner is so underrated. I love the look of the miner. I think that this mining costume and the mask and the way it's done and him carrying the pickaxe around, I think would be absolutely terrifying if you were to encounter something like this. But I just think this villain looks so cool and is so underappreciated, and is one of, in my opinion, the greats, the classic horror villains. Maybe because we didn't get as many movies from this franchise. I mean, we got one and then a remake years later. Maybe that's why the miner hasn't gotten as much attention. But I really like the look of the miner. I think it's so cool. I love the look here of our villain. So yeah, that's the opening of the film. But again, I love it. I love the opening. From there, we kind of get a lot going on in a small amount of time. That's really just setting everything up. We kind of get introduced. I mean, we meet our group of miners, these guys working in the mine, and see them kind of horsing around. And of course, then we cut up to them all being in the shower and making, guy jokes and being silly and having fun and getting ready to go out and celebrate and party with their girls. And we get a little bit of a hint that one of the guys there named TJ apparently used to be dating this girl who's now dating another guy there named Axel. We kind of get a hint at that and see an odd look on TJ's face. But, again, we're just kind of getting to know these characters and get a setup. Then we get this silly music that plays that most of the time, this kind of thing would probably annoy me. It annoys me in movies like The Town That Dreaded Sundown. I've mentioned there that I think the music is ridiculous. I could almost see how somebody would think that here. It doesn't bother me, maybe because it doesn't play throughout the film. It's just this one scene. But again, we kind of get some silly music as they all take off into town. We see now that they're planning this big party. We see the girls and some of the guys together. They're, drinking, smoking, but they're also putting up decorations and preparing for this big dance. We find out that this is the first dance this town has had in 20 years. We also get introduced to the, police chief Newbie. We get introduced to the miners. We get introduced to a woman. I'm drawing a blank on her name, but I'm sure I'll have it. Mabel, who is she's like the head of the decorating committee for the town. So we get introduced here to all our characters, and then we kind of get a pretty quick setup here as the mayor is given a heart-shaped candy box. that he's all excited that someone gave him candy. But then as he and the police chief get in the chief's car to drive away, and he goes to open this box, there's a warning on it, letting him know that they don't need to have this dance. And then as he opens the box, he finds a real heart that has been cut up and placed inside this box. And so he begins to freak out and talk about not wanting this to happen again, and just can't deal with this. The police chief also seems freaked out. Ends up turning around and taking off. And then we cut to a bar with, again, all of these same characters that we've seen, in the mines, and their girlfriends now doing all the decorating, where, they're all in a bar, they're having a good time. But we get this bartender who keeps warning everybody about having this Valentine's dance. And we kind of get the bartender here telling us a story with some flashbacks that 20 years ago, there were 7 men down in this mine. 5 of them were killed in an explosion while this dance was going on somewhere else, and that the 2 supervisors who were supposed to be watching over things left early to get to the dance. They didn't check the methane levels, and it caused this huge explosion, burying these guys alive. There was a dig that took several days to get to them. And by the time they found him, only one man, Harry Warden, had survived. He had gone crazy. He was actually eating the other guys that had died. Harry Warden was then taken off to a mental hospital, but 1 year later broke out of this mental hospital and killed several more people and warned the town to never have another dance again. And then we also get more hints at this love triangle, I guess you could say, where apparently TJ and Sarah, I said Linda earlier, it's Sarah, TJ and Sarah were together. And for some reason or another, TJ left town for a while. No one knew where he went or if he was coming back. And Sarah ended up now seeing this other gentleman named Axel before TJ came back. And so now there's a lot of tension there. So again, a lot happening here in a small amount of time. It's fine. It's really setting up the story. Again, I like the special effects where the mayor finds the heart in the candy box. I like that shot. I think it was pretty good. There's some overacting here, maybe from a few people. The bartender's kind of silly telling the story, but I mean, again, it's fine. It's setting tone. And then the characters, kind of like I was talking about, they're not bad at times. They're annoying at times. It's just, that's the group of people. I always mention, like, this is a cast, and when I talk about different movies, is this a group of people I would like to hang out with? I think some of them, I think it would be a lot of fun to hang out with. Others would annoy the hell out of me, but it's probably the way it's supposed to be. But that's kind of what's happening at this point here in the film. From there, we move on, and we find out that the mayor and the police chief are talking, and they are concerned because of this, thing that's discovered, that Harry Warden is back. And they even make a phone call at one point, trying to find out, is he still in the mental institution or what might be going on. We also then get a cut to Mabel, as I mentioned, who's the head of the decorating committee. She's in a laundromat working on some things. We see the miner outside, and then him coming in and leaving this heart-shaped box that Mabel opens, and it's got another warning in it. But then the miner ends up attacking and killing Mabel. For some reason, I thought this scene was more graphic than it is. We don't really get a great shot of this scene. The great shot comes later. And yeah, we'll get to that here in just a moment. But yeah, I mean, there's some tension there. Here's a place where I feel like, well, the movie, I've seen it so many times, I don't find this scary, but I do feel like this scene has some tension to it and could be scary for someone that maybe has never seen the movie or, is scared by these 80s slashers. We also then cut back to the guys have now gone to this junkyard where they're hanging out and drinking and smoking. And we continue to see this tension building between TJ and Axel all over Sarah. And we do find out that there is no record from the chief and the mayor and these phone calls that they're making, that there is no record of Harry Warden being at this mental institution. So again, we've talked about Harry Warden. We've talked about the story. We know he's already broke out once and killed some people, and he's warned everyone. And now there's no record of the mental institution. So we are, again, we're right there with the mayor and the chief, that we feel like Harry Warden has broke out and he's now back and ready to kill people. And then we get the chief finding Mabel's body. He goes into the dryer and finds her body in a dryer there in the laundromat. And I think this looks so good. The score is pretty good here, and the special effects look great of Mabel's, body, who not only has she been killed, but now she's been, burned in this dryer that's been going. Great shot here. I love this part of the film. I think it looks really good. We cut again to TJ and Axel actually getting to a fight down in the mine while they're working. We find out that the chief wants Mabel's death reported as a heart attack and not that she was actually killed, so that they don't cause a big scare and get a lot of news media around. But at the same time, he and the mayor want the dance canceled, and so they take the steps to do so. We get a shot where TJ takes Sarah to a lake. She doesn't seem to want to go, and he forces her to go anyway. And they have a talk at the lake about him leaving and what happened. The group gets back together and decides that they still want to have a party, that if this town party has been canceled, they're going to have their own party there at the mine. And of course, the bartender again warns them not to. And then we get a shot of the bartender going out to the mine and trying to set up like a fake miner to scare these, younger kids. Which again, this throws me off. They're supposed to be teenagers. None of these people look like teenagers. These all look like people in their 20s and 30s. But that happens a lot in movies, so that's I'll overlook that for this as well. But the bartender sets up this fake miner. He also seems to be having fun with it because he keeps opening the door and seeing his fake miner and laughing. And he goes through this a few times, and then he opens the door one more time, and it's the real miner standing there. And this bartender guy gets killed as he gets stabbed up through the chin, up with this pickaxe. Another great kill that looks so good. I'm telling you, I really love the special effects for this movie. I think this kill is perfect as well. We then get this party going on, kind of there in like a break room kitchen area around the mine. At the party, the miner shows up as well. He kills one of the guys named Dave. The chief, away from the party, finds a bloody box with a warning that they didn't stop the party like they should have, which, he's under the impression that everything got stopped. So he's freaking out and going to take off now. TJ and Axel get into another fight at the party. We cut to a shot of a couple who's over in the shower area, and they're making out. The guy goes to get more beer, and while he's gone, the miner attacks a girl, ends up impaling her on a shower head. Another pretty cool kill. We don't get a great shot of it, but enough to know what's happening. And then we get a good shot when the guy comes back and he sees the woman hanging there, and she's stuck on the shower head, and like the water spraying through her mouth. Another really cool shot. Again, keep saying it, but love the effects in this movie. A small group, Hollis, Sarah, a few others, decide to go down into the mine. The girls want to see what it's like, so Hollis and another guy named Howard take some of the girls down into the mine. But then while they're gone, the rest of the group starts finding these bodies. A guy named Dave, who the miner had killed, and just some other things here and there. And so TJ and Axel decide to go down into the mine to try to find everybody else. A couple down there gets separated. Later, TJ and Axel come across everybody. They tell everybody what's going on, and they decide to try to get out. But they realize that one of the couples is missing. And so, we've seen them making out and hearing a noise. Hollis, the one character I said that I did like, he goes to find them. When he does find them, they're dead. And then the miner shows up and shoots him in the head with a nail gun. Hollis is able to stumble away and get back to the others enough to warn them before he falls and dies. This Howard character, who is supposed to be kind of the comic relief in these movies. And, this is one thing that I will say, and I look back at some of my thoughts on other early 80s horror. I like, while I'm not a huge fan of horror comedies, I like to have some kind of comedic relief in some of these movies, even if it comes from, one or two different characters, just to get, a few laughs here and there. But I also find that some of these early 80s films, the comic relief doesn't work for me. I mean, I talked about that. The guy that's supposed to be so funny in the first Friday the 13th movie, I don't find funny. I don't find this Howard guy funny either. He's supposed to be that guy, but he's just annoying to me. But he gets scared now that Hollis is dead, and he takes off running away, kind of leaving the girls. Axel and TJ are also trying to figure what's going on. And so people keep getting separated and then getting back together. And it makes you wonder why. Like, why do they keep separating when they should be just trying to get away? Excuse me. So, yeah, that's kind of where we are. Axel now finds the girls. TJ finds them again. And so the four now, we have two girls left, and Axel and TJ all trying to get up out of the mine and get away. The chief arrives. He gets a group together to try to climb down, to try to help everyone and find them. The group gets to a ladder, and as they're trying to climb up, they end up finding Howard's body. It kind of falls, and so they end up taking back down and trying to find another way out. They get into a place where there's a lot of water down in this mine. I think it says it's like 60 feet deep, and off screen, we hear Axel scream. We think maybe the miner has killed him, and then as TJ and the girls come back, they see Axel's hat and stuff there in the water, and it appears that he's fallen into the water and drowned. The other girl that there, then Patty, she ends up getting killed with a pickaxe. More of the police and things arrive. The miner shows back up again, and now it appears that we just have TJ and Sarah as all that's left. But yeah, TJ and the miner end up getting into a fight. Decent fight scene, not great, but decent. And then in the process, the miner's mask gets knocked off, and it is revealed that Axel is actually the miner. And in the process of their fighting and hitting, all of this stuff happens. They end up causing this cave in. TJ and Sarah are able to escape, but Axel seems to be buried down there, similar to what had happened to Harry Warden. The chief, he and his men have gotten down there now and gotten to them, and they revealed that Harry Warden died 5 years ago, and that's why there was no record of him in the mental institution. But that Axel's father was one of the men that was killed by Harry Warden when he broke out the first time, and that Axel saw this happen, and apparently that caused Axel to kind of go crazy, and then now he was doing these things. And then we then get a shot, whereas they're trying to dig to get to Axel, we find out that he is alive, but apparently he has amputated his own arm to get away, and he runs back further into the mine, talking to Harry Warden's ghost or whatever, there about that they'll both be back, and also talking in this odd voice to Sarah, and he's laughing and he runs off, and that's the end of My Bloody Valentine. So yeah, I went through a lot there. Let me kind of backtrack and just talk about my opinion of a few things as we get ready to wrap this episode up. So again, some of these kills I really do enjoy. Again, I was kind of getting tired of the TJ Axel thing. I mean, they'd gotten into several fights, had several words. I was like, yeah, let's this storyline is not that interesting to me. I mean, I see what they're trying to do, but I was getting a little bit tired of it, the way it was going. Hollis's kill, getting shot there. I mean, he was the one character I liked, so I kind of hated seeing him get killed, but the shot in the head with the nail gun looked good. How he was able to stumble back to the group before dying, I don't know. The Howard character, I already didn't like him, didn't think he was funny, so when he runs away, I'm like, this guy's an idiot. Yeah, he's a douche. I was confused, like I said, as to why Axel and TJ keep leaving when they all got together. But that part was kind of odd to me. I think it was probably trying to, because all this time, again, we're thinking that Harry's the killer. But if Axel or TJ are never there when the killer's around, then I think we're trying to paint, could it be one of them? I think that's what's happening here is we're trying to throw a little bit of mystery in there. Like, could one of them be responsible? But then again, we think Axel dies. We think he drowned. So it's hard to say. When Patty's kill, where she gets stabbed with a pickaxe, not a bad kill, looks good as well. The fight scene again between TJ and the miners, not bad. The reveal of Axel to be the miner, I think the first time, back when I was a kid and I was watching this, I was probably surprised. It's a decent reveal. It's not bad. And the fact that his character goes kind of even more batshit crazy there at the very end of the film makes sense, because he seems a little off at times throughout the movie. So that's fine. I buy that. That's okay. The chief revealing the story there about Harry Warden dying and Axel's father being killed by Harry Warden. Again, that's all fine. I feel like there are probably people out there that think this is unnecessary backstory, but I like to have some. I mean, I like to know why, if possible. Although I will say that sometimes, movies like Halloween, it's scarier because we don't know why Michael is doing what he's doing. But for this to not be the guy that did the initial killings, for this to be someone else, it is nice to know why. Like, why did he do what he decided to do here? So that that little bit of a reveal is fine as well. And then the shot where Axel's still alive and he's like amputated his arm and he's running back further into the mine and just being crazy. I think that's all fine as well. It's a good ending. I like the ending for the film. Could it have been better? Probably. I mean, they could have changed up a couple of things here and there. I don't have recommendations off the top of my head, but I feel like they could have done a couple of things to make the ending better. But overall, I think it was good. And so, yeah, that's My Bloody Valentine. And so when I look back at this film and, I think about like what I was talking at the beginning, that I do have a couple of minor issues, primarily with performance here and there. And there's a few plot holes here and there throughout the film. But overall, again, I really like the story. Repeat myself now for a minute. Love the setup, love the cinematography, love the look at the killer. Really like most of the kills. Special effects are great. There's just so many really, really good things about this film. And if you like 80s slashers and haven't seen this, I highly recommend it. It's one of the best there is, in my opinion. For my rating on a scale of 1 out of 10, I'm going to give My Bloody Valentine Oh my gosh, this is tough. I'm going to give My Bloody Valentine a 9 out of 10. I absolutely love this movie. I think it's so good. One of the best slasher films there is, in my opinion. So My Bloody Valentine gets a 9 out of 10 for me. I want to know what you think. Leave me some comments. Let me know. Do you like this movie as much as I do? Do you have issues with it? Because again, I do see that people could have some issues with things in this, and there might be a lot of it that is nostalgia for me, but I absolutely love it. So tell me what you think. Are you a fan? Not a fan? Um, yeah, at some point I'll probably come back and talk about the remake from I think like 2009. We'll discuss that. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this movie? Let me know. I love the interaction. So leave me some comments. Hit the like button today. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. There's some really fun stuff coming. Tomorrow night is the Screamies with me and Our Life in Horror and Critic After Dark. So excited to finally have that Saturday night. Our live award show is going to be so much fun to do. Next week, I'm also so excited to announce that I have an interview with actress Lauren Marie Taylor. That's going to be up on my channel next week. So super excited about that. Brendan from Our Life in Horror and maybe Sam are going to be back on as we continue to go through the Scream franchise. We're going to be talking about Scream 4 and then a couple of days later talk about Scream 5. So yeah, fun stuff coming. Be sure and subscribe so you don't miss anything. Like, hype, comment, share, follow me on social media. I'm pretty much on everything out there. Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, X, Letterbox. Just search Sean's Horror Corner and you'll be able to find any of it. Until then, that'll wrap it up. I'll see you tomorrow night on Our Life in Horror for the Screamies. And then I'll be back next week with fun stuff. So don't miss it. See you soon.